All right, we're recording now, so anything you say can be used against you.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay, welcome to Throwback Thursday Race Series Edition. Our first video in that series is the 2007 Boys High School 2-mile National Championships from Greensboro. Men. Okay, so let's
you were certainly a boy.
Let's go through a couple introductions. I'm Elliott Heath, one of the athletes that was in the race. Joining me tonight is Matt. Why don't you go first?
Without spoilers, I won't let them know about the race, how it plays out. But I also was part of this 2-mile. From Maryland High School. Went on to run at University of Oregon and now with the Bowerman Track Club, 2-time Olympian. And I can't say that I don't watch this race once a month for the last 10 years. But yeah, I'm really happy that we're breaking this race down. So fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. Who's our other guest?
Evan Jager. Slightly less thrilled that we're breaking this down, but still pretty excited. This was one of my favorite ones from high school, so it was fun. From high school in Illinois, raced against these guys a couple of times on the national scene. So this is fun to relive for sure.
Well, how does Evan not tell any of his credentials? Why am I telling him I'm a 2-time Olympian when Evan's just talking about high school?
Okay, also 2-time Olympian. There you go.
I'm like, yeah, Olympian. Evan's like, yeah, I went to high school in Illinois. This is a fun race. I'm like, why don't you go first next time so I can know what to say and what not to say?
That's right. Before we get into the race, do you guys have any like pre-race memories or like of this race when like we talked about watching this race? Like, what was the first thing that came to mind?
Mainly just the last 800 meters. That's mainly what comes to mind. The outcome is what comes to mind. Nothing so much pre-race.
The one thing actually that sticks out most that night to me was my dad was like more my coach in high school at the time, and I remember it was before the race, and they actually had a little delay going on, and I was like refused to watch like the slower sections before, but it was like an absolute mint night in Greensboro. It was like perfect weather, no wind, and my dad came over to me after like I think it was like the slowest section of the night or something like that, one of 3, and they had just run like 8:56 to win like full 2 miles. And we're talking 07, where not everyone and their mom broke 9. Now it's like, oh, is that the freshman 2-mile now these days? But back then, like the winning time was 8:56, and my dad came over to me, and I remember like I hadn't started warming up yet, and he's like, get ready. He's like, they just ran 8:56. It's a special night. Like I just feel it. Like he just told me. I remember like he was just like telling me like how it's going to be like an unbelievable night. Like just super magical, like something in the air, and like just get ready for like an unbelievable race. And that kind of stuck out to me before the race.
Yeah, I do remember, I don't know if like the weather was kind of crappy a few days going in, but I do remember being like concerned with the weather then it flipping to a point where like you were saying like, oh, this is going to actually be perfect. But it was
still like warm, right?
Yeah. It was still kind of warm.
We raced pretty late, especially with the delay. It was like 9. It might have been like 8 or 9. I remember the only place we could go afterwards was Hooters. I had my celebration. Okay.
I guess so. Yeah, and then before the race, like, what expectations did you have besides fast times for the night itself? Like, how had the year gone? Maybe like just state meet leading up to that, and what were your expectations going in? Do you remember any of that?
I'm pretty sure I wanted to win going into the race. It wasn't like the best year for me. It was like a little up and down with a couple of injuries, but like I was still really fit. I won state racing against CD actually. We had a really fast state meet. I ran 8:52 to win for the 3,200. And we had, I think, like 3 or 4 guys under 9 at the state meet. So like I knew I was fit. So I wanted to go in and win. And I think I had run 4:05 for a mile coming into this, or 4:08 or 4:07 maybe coming into this. So I knew I was pretty fit. So I wanted to win for sure.
I hadn't run any 2 miles outdoors at that time. So like in my PR, actually, the funny thing was I think my PR was like, I don't even know what my PR, it wasn't under 9 minutes. So I just wanted to break 9. Like that's all I cared about. I just wanted to break 9. And I was going back and forth whether I should run the mile because I'd run like 4:04 at my state meet. And so I was like in a lot of 4x8s all season. And so I really wanted a shot at the 2 mile. But I definitely felt like I was more prepared for the mile as I'd been racing it all year. But obviously I knew like Craig Forries and was it Paul Springer were like 2 guys that ran like really fast early that year. They ran like sub 850 at like, it was like the meet of champions or like, it was like some invitational in like New Jersey or something. And they ran like 840. I think Craig ran like 844 or 846 or something like that for 2 miles. Mm-hmm. So like, I mean, those guys I knew they were like ready to run really fast. But yeah, I was just more excited to like break 9 minutes, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah, I really remember Craig having like a really fast time coming in and being not really focused on him because I didn't really think of myself at the time in terms of like, you know, I guess I had run 8:57 for 3,200 at like the sectional meet for my state, knowing or thinking that it was going to take like a 9-minute mark to like get in the fast heat. That was like the only goal of that race was to like run that to get into the fast heat for Nike Outdoor. And then the state meet in Minnesota, you know, was just a classic tactical affair with Hassan and Ben Blankenship and then and Rob Finnerty. You know.
Who won that?
I won. I think it was like 9:01 or something like that. Just sucked down Hassan the whole way. Let him let Hassan, you know, lead the whole thing. Not be confident in his kick, and then you know bring it home the last 200. I think was the plan there. So yeah. So and then going into this one, I knowing those marks of like 840 mid were out there, like was again just kind of happy and maybe taking another shot at sub 9. I feel like was the main goal, or just kind of get in the thick of it. So yeah, well let's get into the video. One thing I do remember straight away is that so the video starts like right at the gun, but I remember them holding us on the line or like us getting called back like maybe multiple times.
Yeah.
2 mile. Been on the line for a long time.
So Puskedra's out front, leading the charge.
Yeah.
Do you guys see yourselves in there?
Forries, Centro's in 3rd.
I'm in 3rd.
I think Paul Springer's in 4th.
I'm the shortest one in the front pack.
So I think
Elliott's right here in middle pack. I think Elliott, did you and I or like what kit were you wearing? Were you wearing like the Reebok?
You were wearing the Reebok kit.
I definitely was wearing the Reebok one.
So was Craig.
Well, I think white tops with blue or like navy shorts was definitely the uniform of choice for us.
That was the
for sure.
I just knew Evan is like, you know, just this jock from Illinois that like would show up. He would just always run in like the smallest shorts possible.
You did have those shorts. Like I don't know if it's because you had super long legs, but you definitely had those short booty shorts.
I like wanted to rock the short shorts.
Yeah, you even had a roll on it too. Maybe you had to put a roll on it.
I might have. Yeah.
Definitely.
I like fully embrace the running culture in high school.
That's awesome.
We have 10 of these guys, 10 of the 17 guys in this heat have run under 9 minutes so far this year. Craig Forey's the fastest time, 8:46.
Jager moving up on the outside.
He ran that against Paul Springer when he went 8:49. Both of them at the Henderson Classic in Pennsylvania.
U.S. number 2 at this distance. Springer in 5th.
Luke Pasquedra of Utah.
So we got Jager on the outside in 2nd or 3rd. Central, you're in 4th. I'm buried back in the middle of the pack there in like 7th or 8th.
Classic. I just didn't know anything about racing. I was probably just outside on someone's shoulder the entire race.
I mean, you got that long stride. You don't want to be caught on the inside, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Luke going out like really, really hard and fast, which was like not unusual for Luke, as he always liked to.
So what was? Are you splitting this, Elliott?
Yeah,
I think 210.
I think it was 210. I think that was a 67. So it went 63, 67. So
with the extra 18
with
meters?
the extra, I think it was actual 63 through 400, 67 through 418 meters. But then now
Mortal Kombat's being played in the background.
We got Elliott moving up here.
Can you guys hear Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, I weirdly remember Mortal Kombat playing that night.
Yeah. Dude.
Oh, now I do remember it.
Prediction.
Nemo Hennigang of Ohio in the red. Running on Centrowitz to
People on the
Slipper.
street are ready to stand. This is only 1,200
Let's keep
meters
the
in.
nose up. This is Pasquedra. Doing a great job. 3:17.9.
Let's see how the schedule
67.
holds up. 67, so they've
For
settled
that
in
quarter.
a little bit. Apparently, Pasquedra had a foot injury for the past week or so. So we'll see. He missed out on Golden West last week. But
Okay, I was just asking.
You guys kind of went out for a little bit.
Are you where you want to be right now? You were obviously you were a masterful tactician throughout college, but was this the start of that?
Yeah, I was on the inside. I mean, I wasn't supposed to make any moves until super late, if I even felt good. But yeah, I mean, unlike Evan, I'm tucked away on the rail right there, kind of shadowing Craig, who I think we all can agree on was the pre-race favorite. So I'm pretty happy with where I'm at.
Evan, what about you? You just happy that you're running an extra couple meters each lap?
Yeah, I didn't really know that much about running tactics or anything. Like, I was just used to like going out front and just like hammering and dropping everyone. So like racing against kids that were better than me was like still pretty foreign. So I don't think I really knew like how to race other people that were as good or better than me, and I think I would just constantly wanted to press and was not good at like sitting on the rail and just like relaxing.
I think I remember like we just went through the mile. I remember kind of like being a little like antsy since we really kind of slowed down the last couple laps, and I'm sure Evan is probably the antsiest of them all right now.
Yeah, I was pretty antsy. And I think if I take the lead, do I take the lead here?
You take it.
Yeah.
I think you take it right after 2K.
I take it
right up here.
Right here. Yeah, and I think I like initially wanted to just kind of sit there, like in the moment, but the announcer like kind of started like bringing up his level of energy, and the crowd started cheering, and that just like instantly like gave me a hit of adrenaline, and I was like, okay, let's go.
Look at you with a little tap.
Yeah. It was pretty
He knew
consistent. I mean, besides
the announcer totally like just you took the bait, Evan. He was like, Evan's to the lead, and you weren't even in the lead yet.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Right, here I go.
Yeah, that's pretty much
So
exactly.
I
how
remember right
felt.
here, actually, right there, my dad was at 200, that 200 mark, and at that point, it looked like I was about to like pull up alongside you, Evan. I remember hearing my dad yell at me, going like, "Settle," or like, "Sit, don't move," and I like went back on the inside.
You definitely did. You got right back
Yeah.
on the rail. I mean, it's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
consistent through the first mile in 5 laps. Like it was 63 first lap, but then like 67 the whole way.
Yeah.
See what Jager comes through here at. Maybe a little bit of a pickup, but no, 67 again.
Yeah, so it must have been slowing down pretty good. And then when Craig made this move,
It was super hard.
I could not believe it. I was like, that's too fast. Like I can't
We're
do
going.
that
We're,
right
we're
now.
2, 3, 4 right now.
Yep.
2, 3, 4.
And I just remember you two pulling away from me and just like running as hard as I could and like not being able to keep up with you.
I think they announced that we just ran. I think we just ran 31. They announced.
Yeah.
That 200.
Yeah.
Which is
so that
probably
was like
30 since he took it on the backstretch.
I had never done anything like that in high school.
Yeah.
Like before the last lap.
History of battles, 7:43. The 60. They're going for it. Score is just back and saw Centrowitz.
I thought like he was gonna get away from me. Like he had a little bit of a gap right there, and then it's like he just kept pressing the whole time. But like I just kept trying to like stay like right on him because you know you kind of get excited when you're like in it, but you just can't like let any gaps open. So I just kind of committed a little bit.
Are you pretty confident right here that you had another gear that you had where you want?
Probably right here. I was like, all right. I was just thinking if any celebration. No, I'm just kidding. This is like my first like big win. I think I like pooped my pants.
Yeah, and Elliott, I think you passed me with about like 300 to go, 250 to go, right?
Yeah, it just became our little race for third back there. I pulled the same move on you as Centro pulled on Craig, I think. Sat on you for 600 meters, and then
Evan in a body bag.
Yeah, I was done. That was like I'd never raced like that before. Like that last, I think your last two laps, you guys were like 201, weren't you, or something ridiculous?
It might have been
or 157.
It might have been 158, I think, for the last 800.
Yeah.
Or am I adding that up right? I think it was like 60 and 58. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember like rewatching the race and thinking like that was like another level of running that like I didn't think was possible at that age. I was like, that was unreal. Like 158 for the last 2 laps. Like I'd never seen anything like that. So I just remember being just so in awe.
We had a good year. We had a good year to like look back on that and be like, man, like that was like an insane race. That was an insane class until German Fernandez goes and runs like 8:30, whatever. And then it was like, yeah, actually, you know what? It wasn't as great as we all thought it was.
We weren't that hot. Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't that hot. I think like at that time it was probably one of the deeper classes in a while. You know, I mean, there was probably because Elliott, you got third.
I was third.
Elliott was third. I was fourth.
Third.
I think
Hassan was like 6 and still running 8:48 or 8:40. I mean, there was probably like 6, 7 guys under 8:50.
Yeah, the top 11 were sub 9, and then 17th, even last place was 9:03. So,
and I know Evan and I talk about this often, or at least more recently, but
yeah,
just kind of like how special that class was. But you know, obviously, easy to look back now with like Hassan, like Evan, myself, Elliott, like who you just mentioned winning NCAAs. Like there's a bunch of guys that went on to make Olympic teams, win national titles and medals. So I mean, like, you know, obviously at the time you're like, wow, what a like what a deep class, but obviously everyone kind of went on, and not even including, I totally forgot when you mentioned like Ben as well, Blankenship, he wasn't even in that race, but obviously a guy who's making teams still to this day. So, but yeah, that year was obviously, I feel like a pretty special year. And obviously that race was kind of like a culmination of like everyone coming together in one race and squaring off before everyone kind of headed off to their separate ways. The coolest thing I was just gonna mention, the coolest thing about that time for me is like, you know, even like German's record got broken, right? Like a couple years later by like Lucas. Like records will always get broken, but 841.5 like ties Prefontaine on the all-time list to the exact 10th. So
I remember
like
that.
I don't care if I get pushed to like 100th, which eventually, I mean, I probably will eventually, right? At some point, and I will always be like tied to like to Steve Prefontaine. Like we'll be like tied to the hip. Mine was FAT. His was hand time, so I think I do get the nod over him on the all-time list. But yeah, that was like the really cool thing for me. Like I'm glad I ran 841.5 versus like 840.5, because you know it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Like for me, like the record, you know, was a national record, and the meet record was going to get broken the next year by German anyway. So that was like the really cool thing. So I was like extremely happy that I ran that race and ran it.
Cool. Well, yeah, we should, I mean, regardless if this turns out to be anything, I feel like we should just kind of zoom in and watch old race videos.
It would be
together
fun.
once in a while.
Yeah, this would
definitely
be fun.
Evan, you can pick the next one if you want. I feel like, you know, you got picked on a little bit here. We really like laid it up on a platter for Centro, but
No, it's all right.
So
yeah, nice. This is a great idea.
Hey.
I like this.